Picture this, right? It's just a random Tuesday, and you realize you finally have exactly $100 sitting in your account. Money you absolutely don't need for rent, or food, or your phone bill. You look at it and you think, okay, this is it. This is my investing era. So what do? You open up social media and boom, you are immediately bombarded. People are literally yelling at you to turn that $100 into $10,000 in 30 days, or they're pushing some obscure crypto before it supposedly explodes, or promising that some random penny stock is the next Amazon. Honestly, it is exhausting. And frankly, it creates a ton of anxiety. You're probably sitting there thinking, I just want to do this the smart way without lighting my hard-earned money on fire. Well, you are definitely in the right place. In this explainer, we're going to cut right through all of that chaotic get-rich-quick noise. We are going to build a smart, foolproof, completely system-based approach to investing your first $100.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The first $100 trap. 2. The 3-bucket framework. 3. How to actually invest. 4. The secret of automation. And finally, 5. Overcoming your own brain. By the end of this, you are going to have a foolproof, stress-free system.
Section 1. The first $100 trap.
So the absolute biggest mistake beginners make is putting this completely exhausting pressure on themselves to find the perfect, magical, winning stock. It's crazy. You've got the hype on one side, crypto penny stocks, these wild promises of 100x returns in a month. It is a dangerous social media illusion, guys. But then you have the undeniable reality of how real wealth is actually built. Consistent, boring, systematic index funds. Look, when you chase those shortcuts and end up losing your first $100, you don't just lose the cash, you lose the confidence to ever invest again.
The cost of chasing that hype is very, very real. Just look at this data from the Dalbar study tracking 2024 returns. The average equity investor saw a return of about 16.5%, while the S&P 500 returned a massive 25%. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. That huge gap exists because beginners let their emotions, fear, greed, impatience, completely dictate their behavior. They end up buying and selling at the exact wrong times.
So before we do anything else, let's move to what we call step 0. Before you even think about the stock market, I really need you to ask yourself this critical question directly. If an unexpected expense happens tomorrow, will you need this $100 back immediately? You got to be honest with yourself here, because if the answer is yes, jumping straight into the stock market could actually hurt you deeply.
To really understand why, check out this shocking statistic from the Federal Reserve. Only 63% of adults could cover a $400 emergency expense with cash or savings. Even wilder than that, 18% said the absolute largest emergency they could handle was under $100. Just let that sink in for a second. If you don't have a cash buffer and a surprise bill forces you to sell your investments at the worst possible moment, like, say, during a massive market dip, your investment didn't actually help you. It completely penalized you.
Section 2. The 3-bucket framework. I want you to think of your first $100 as having 3 literal buckets it could go into. Bucket 1 is safety, so your emergency savings. Bucket 2 is high-interest debt, like those credit cards. And bucket 3 is actual investing in the broad market. The rule here is simple. You absolutely must prioritize safety and debt first. I mean, you can't sail a boat if there's a giant hole in the hull, right? Let's look a bit closer at bucket 1 and why it actually carries some serious academic weight. There is this psychological phenomenon called loss aversion. Basically, it means we feel financial losses way more intensely than we feel gains. So, when financial stress hits, your brain doesn't just calmly analyze long-term historical market returns. No way! It literally screams, I need cash right now, and that is what causes panic selling. An emergency savings buffer completely protects you from loss aversion. Putting your first $100 into savings isn't missing out. It's literally an investment in your ability to stay invested later on. Now, what if you have high interest debt? Well, that's bucket 2. Think about it this way. Paying off a credit card that charges you 25% interest is mathematically identical to earning a guaranteed 25% return on your money. An unbeatable, totally guaranteed return that the stock market simply cannot offer you. So if you're carrying high interest debt, your $100 goes right there. Not because investing is bad, but because you just can't fill an investment bucket if it currently has a massive hole in the bottom.
Section 3. How to actually invest. So, the crucial point is this. Assuming you've got your safety net and no high-interest debt, your first $100 should absolutely not go into individual stocks, meme coins, or penny stocks. I mean, could you get lucky? Sure, maybe, but that's buying a lottery ticket, not making an investment. Why do we avoid them? Because the research shows time and time again that over long periods, the vast majority of professional, highly paid fund managers actually underperform the broad market indexes. Think about that. If the literal pros struggle to beat the market, you as a beginner probably aren't going to pull it off with a single $100 trade. Don't gamble. Just buy the entire market at a low cost.
Here is the literal 4-step execution process to do exactly that, without overcomplicating the whole shebang. Step 1. Choose your account. Go with the lowest fee and most tax-efficient account available to you, like an employer match program or a standard brokerage. Step 2. Choose one fund. Seriously, keep it simple. Pick one diversified index fund, like a total market index or a target date fund. Step 3. Invest the $100. And hey, thanks to fractional shares at most modern brokerages, you can invest even if a full share costs way more than $100. And finally, Step 4. Automate the next contribution.
Section 4. The secret of automation.
That initial $100 you just invested, that is merely the spark. Automation is the actual engine of wealth. Just look at the jaw-dropping power of compound interest here. If you invest $100 exactly once and you just leave it for 30 years at a 7% return, it becomes about $760. Okay, not bad. But if you set up a tiny automated habit of just $25 a week for those same 30 years, you end up with roughly $120,000. Automation beats motivation every single time.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it visually exposes a silent killer: fees. Because fees are incredibly boring, they are also incredibly dangerous. Let's say an actively managed fund charges around 1% per year, right? Meanwhile, a low-cost index fund charges around 0.05%. Sure, it looks like a completely tiny difference today, but over decades, that 1% aggressively eats away at your compounding returns. A low-fee fund can end up over 30% larger than a high-fee fund over the long haul. Keep it low-cost, folks. It is absolutely crucial.
Section 5. Overcoming your own brain. So if the plan is this brilliantly simple, why doesn't literally everyone do it? Well, it's because your brain is actively setting emotional traps for you all the time. First off, your brain craves excitement. And let's be real, index funds are inherently boring. Second, your brain absolutely hates being wrong, which is exactly what triggers that panic selling the second a portfolio drops. And third, your brain wants control, making stock picking feel proactive and fun. You kind of have to recognize that your brain is basically acting like a self-sabotaging toddler in this scenario. Remind yourself constantly that in investing, boring and passive is actually the winning strategy.
I want to conclude with this incredibly powerful thought from our source material. Most people never invest their first $100 because they keep waiting for the perfect time. But people who actually build real wealth, they don't rely on perfect timing, they build better systems. So I challenge you, in the next 24 hours, take one single action. Just one. Put $100 into an emergency buffer, invest it in a broad index fund, or set up a $10 automated contribution. Because when you do, you're going to realize something amazing. You aren't just moving money around, you are building a completely new identity. So, what step are you going to take today?